Most drivers who work the A68 at night, well, they eventually hear the same warning. Don't let a patrol car pull you over after 1:15 in the morning. If the lights come on behind you, take the fine. Just sit there. Don't roll your window down. Don't make eye contact. And whatever you do, don't follow it. Most drivers hear that warning and think it's just road folklore, you know? Something old truckers say to scare the new guys. Daniel Carter thought the same thing. He was 26. He'd been doing night courier runs for about 3 weeks, and the night a patrol car pulled him over on the A68 near Corbridge. He followed it. What you're about to hear is his account, narrated as he told it. My name is Daniel Carter, and I need you to understand something before I start. I am not a superstitious person. I don't believe in ghost stories. I don't believe in things that can't be explained. But there are about 40 minutes of my life I cannot account for. 40 minutes that left me sitting in a field in the dark, engine running, hands shaking so badly I couldn't put the van into gear. And there is a clearing off a road that doesn't exist anymore, that according to the local council hasn't existed for over 40 years, where I left tire tracks through the dirt. I know because I went back in daylight. I found them. I had started working for a small courier company based outside Newcastle about 3 weeks before any of this happened. The job was simple. Overnight medical shipments, blood samples, documents, the occasional piece of lab equipment, moving between hospitals and clinics across the Northeast. Nothing glamorous, just driving. My least favorite run was the A68. If you've never driven it at night, I'll paint the picture. It's a long stretch of road that cuts through open farmland and patchy forest between Newcastle and the Scottish border. No towns for miles at a stretch. No lit petrol stations, just empty carriageway and the occasional farm gate disappearing into the dark. The company had added a late pickup to my route about a week before, a small rural clinic outside a village called Corbridge. 1 o'clock in the morning collection, a sealed case, no questions. Drive it back to Newcastle by sunrise. The roads were always empty at that hour. That night was no different. I left the clinic at 1:12 a.m. The case was in the back. The heater was running. My GPS showed clear roads all the way home. I'd been driving maybe 15 minutes when the blue lights appeared behind me. I checked my speed. I was doing about 37 in a 30 zone. Not reckless, just the kind of 5 over the limit that happens at night on an empty road when you stop thinking about it. I pulled over onto the grass verge, cut the engine, waited. The patrol car sat behind me for almost a full minute without moving, lights still flashing, no officer getting out. I rolled my shoulders, turned the radio down, sat there with my hands in my lap, watching the blue light pulse across the hedge line to my left, that cold, rhythmic strobe that makes everything look slightly wrong, like a film played at the wrong frame rate. The cold inside the van had a particular edge to it, that dry, brittle kind of cold you get in open country late at night, the kind that makes the inside of your nose sting with every breath. I hadn't noticed it until I stopped moving, until there was nothing to do but sit there and wait. I watched the mirrors. Nothing. The heater ticked as it cooled. Somewhere in the field to my right, something moved through the grass. Probably a fox. Probably. Then, slowly, the patrol car pulled back onto the road, like it was leaving. But then the driver's window came down. An officer leaned out. I couldn't see his face clearly. The blue lights were still strobing and the angle was wrong. He said there was a checkpoint about 2 miles ahead. Routine. He asked me to follow. I remember thinking, I've never heard of a checkpoint on this road, but his voice was calm, completely matter of fact. The kind of tone that doesn't invite questions. So I pulled back out behind him, and we drove. After about a mile, he took an exit I had never noticed before. That in itself made me uneasy. I'd driven the A68 a dozen times by then. I knew the junctions. I knew the lay-bys. And this exit, a narrow turn between two tall hedge lines, I had genuinely never seen. The GPS stuttered. Then the route line just disappeared. I assumed it had lost signal. That happens in the dips between hills sometimes. I told myself that. We were on a country road now, single track. No white lines, no cat's eyes, no markings of any kind. Just gravel and compacted earth between hedges so tall they blocked out the sky on both sides. My headlights only reached maybe 30 feet ahead before the road bent, so I was essentially just following the patrol car's tail lights. Two red points of light floating in the dark. Still no checkpoint. No other patrol cars, no cones, no barriers, no signs of anything official ahead. The air coming through the vent had changed too, heavier somehow, that thick, cold smell you get near standing water or boggy ground. I remember noticing it and then just filing it away. The brain does that. It notices the wrong things and lets you dismiss them. The patrol car slowed slightly. I looked out at the road signs as we passed them. The first one was modern, the standard green reflective type you'd see anywhere. The second one looked older. The reflective coating had gone dull. The third was rusted at the corners. The fourth, and I remember staring at this one, had a typeface I hadn't seen on a road sign in years. The kind you'd see in an old photograph, or a film set in the 1970s. I told myself the council just hadn't replaced them yet. Rural roads, budget cuts, you know how it is. But then I noticed something about the patrol car itself. I'd been staring at the rear of it for 10 minutes by this point, and I realized there was no roof number. Every police vehicle has an identification number on the roof. Standard procedure. It's how dispatch identifies cars from above, from CCTV, from helicopters. This one had nothing, just a clean black rooftop, flat, bare. The gravel road widened. We came out into a clearing, wide and flat, ringed by trees on three sides. The sky above it was dark enough that the stars were actually visible, and I remember thinking, absurdly, that it was almost beautiful. Then I noticed the silence. You don't think about road noise until it stops. The whole drive out here there'd been tire sound, gravel ticking under the wheel arches, the low hum of the engine working. And then we pulled into that clearing and something about the space just swallowed it. Like the sound had somewhere to go and went there. The engine was still running, but it felt muffled, distant, like hearing it through a wall. In the middle of the clearing stood an old wooden barn. Big, the kind they don't build anymore. High-pitched roof, dark timber frame, boards that had warped and separated over decades of wet winters until you could see pale lines of sky between them. The doors at the front were closed. A rusted chain looped through the handles. The patrol car stopped. I stopped behind it. The officer got out slowly. Something about the way he moved was wrong. Not limping, not injured, just deliberate. Like each movement was being calculated before it happened. And when he turned around, the uniform wasn't right. Reflective patches on a modern police jacket are bright, vivid, almost aggressively visible. These ones were yellowed, dull. The kind of color that comes from things sitting in storage for a very long time. The cut of the jacket was off too, slightly too short in the sleeve, slightly too boxy across the shoulders. Like a uniform from a photograph rather than a uniform from a shop. He walked back toward my van. I sat very still. That's when I saw what was behind the barn. Cars, dozens of them, lined up in rough rows along the far edge of the clearing. Hatchbacks, sedans, a couple of panel vans not unlike the one I was sitting in. All of them covered in a uniform film of dust and dead leaves. My headlights caught the nearest one, a beige Vauxhall Cavalier, maybe early 80s, and I could see luggage stacked in the rear window, a jacket on the back seat, a child's shoe on the parcel shelf. The officer had reached my window. He stopped. He looked at me, and quietly, in that same utterly calm voice, he said, "You shouldn't have followed." I didn't answer. I didn't think. My body just moved. I threw the van into reverse, floored the accelerator, and swung the wheel hard. He didn't shout. He didn't move toward me. He just stood there in my headlights with his hands at his sides, watching me go. That was the worst part, I think. Not the chasing. There was no chasing. Just that absolute stillness, like he already knew something I didn't. I found the gravel track and put my foot down, but the road went wrong almost immediately. I took the first junction, left, back toward the A68, and after 2 minutes of driving, the clearing appeared again in my headlights. The barn, the cars, the officer standing exactly where I'd left him, not walking, not moving, just standing, facing the direction I'd come from, waiting. I reversed again, took the other track, drove faster this time, pushing the van harder than it was meant to go on a surface like that. I could hear the stones hammering the underside of the chassis. The steering wheel was pulling left on every rut, and came back to the same place. The third time I didn't slow down. I drove through the clearing itself, across open ground, the van lurching and banging over the uneven earth, the sealed case in the back sliding and thumping against the wall, straight through a wooden fence at the far edge. The impact snapped something under the chassis. The headlights flickered. But on the other side of the fence was a field, and at the far end of that field were orange motorway lights. I drove toward them without looking back, not once. I didn't look in the mirror. I didn't want to know if he was watching. I reached the motorway at 2:07 a.m. I had left the clinic at 1:12, 55 minutes, for a road that, by rights, should have taken 20. I handed in my notice 2 days later, told the company it was personal reasons. They didn't push. I didn't tell anyone what had happened. Not then. Not for several months. But about 4 months after that night, I was filling up at a petrol station outside Newcastle and got talking to another overnight driver, older bloke. Had been doing medical courier work for about 12 years. We were swapping route complaints, the usual, and I mentioned the A68. He went quiet. Then he asked me, very carefully, if a police car had ever pulled me over on that road after 1 a.m. I didn't answer him right away. He nodded, like my silence was answer enough. He told me he'd had it happen once about 6 years earlier. Told me he'd sat there and waited, and eventually the patrol car had just driven away without approaching him. He'd considered himself lucky. Then he said something else. He said, "They closed that old farm road back in 1983. I asked him what he meant. He said a road crew doing maintenance work had come across something in a clearing off an unmarked track near Corbridge. Wouldn't say what. The road was gated off and the records were buried so deep in the county archive that you'd need a specific reason to find them. He paid for his fuel, and before he walked back to his car, he looked at me and added, almost as an afterthought, 'There hasn't been a barn out there for 40 years. He pulled out of the forecourt. I stood at the pump for a long time after that. I've thought about those cars, you know, the ones parked behind the barn, the dust on them, the luggage still inside. I've thought about the child's shoe on that parcel shelf. I've thought about how patient and silent the officer was. No urgency, no chase, just standing there watching, like time didn't mean anything to him, like he'd done this before, like he'd do it again. And the thing I keep coming back to, the thing I cannot put down, is that I never got a ticket. He pulled me over on a 30 zone doing 37 miles an hour. He had every reason to stop me properly, but he never wanted the ticket. He just wanted me to follow. Daniel Carter still lives in the Northeast. He works days now, office work, something that keeps him off the roads after dark. He went back to the A68 once, in daylight, about 3 weeks after that night. He found tire tracks going through a wooden fence at the edge of a field. He found the clearing. He found no barn, no cars, no gravel road, just an old gatepost at the edge of a field, and a rusted sign he couldn't read because the text had corroded completely away. There is no record of anything unusual on the A68 near Corbridge in any publicly accessible archive. There are no missing persons reports that match the cars Daniel described. But the old county records office in Newcastle holds a sealed incident file from March 1983. The request form to access it asks for a reason. Every request submitted since 1991 has been denied. We don't know what's in that file. We don't know what Daniel saw in that clearing. We don't know who was driving that patrol car with no roof number, in a uniform that hadn't been standard issue for 40 years, on a road that doesn't appear on any map. What we do know is this: it's still out there, patient, unhurried, waiting at the side of the A68 after 1:15 in the morning for the next set of headlights to come over the hill. And it doesn't care about the speed you were doing. It never did. We'll be back next week, same day, at 3 a.m. And if you're ever driving the A68 late at night and you see blue lights appear in your rearview mirror, take the ticket. Sit still. Don't roll your window down, and under no circumstances, follow it anywhere.